To what extent do the economic benefits of hydropower outweigh the negative impacts on agriculture? Southeast Asia's demand for energy is expected to grow 80%, which brings significant economic impacts to the region. Laos, for example, is in dire need for development, and thus there is a strong temptation to utilise the resource-rich landscape. 72 dams are planned, with the government proclaiming plans to become the battery of Southeast Asia. Nam Tien 2 was built primarily to sell electricity to neighbouring Thailand, which has become a common feature of Laos dams. China's huge economic growth has brought with it a massive requirement for energy. There is also particular pressure facing large cities such as Beijing in terms of air pollution from industry. Industrial zones along the Lancang Mekong River can be powered by renewable hydropower as an alternative. Infrastructure and industry projects can be sorted by hydropower, which can improve the linkages between nations, boosting their economies. It is perceived to be a lucrative long-term investment and provide beneficial economic ties between nations in the region. It is clear hydropower brings huge economic benefits and greener energy production for the region. There is such demand for energy in the region that supply cannot match demand, which means prices for energy remain high. This makes hydropower an economic gold mine. However, the building of dams has brought adverse impacts on agriculture. In Vietnam, the Mekong Delta is responsible for the majority of the country's food production. Approximately 70% of the population works in agriculture. Agriculture, forestry and fishery sectors, all reliant on the river's flow, account for approximately 60% of total GDP in the Delta. Damming the river brings three major problems: drought, salinisation and flooding. Vietnam is impacted heavily by dams upstream. Drought has become increasingly common as 80% of water in the Delta is sourced from overseas. This has also had adverse effects on the soil quality. Water flow brings alluvium to nourish crops and washes out chemicals. Rising sea levels infiltrate this drier soil, resulting in salinisation. And when water is released from dams, it can cause significant flooding, having devastating effects on agriculture and communities. Overall, the loss of Vietnamese agricultural industry could be over $70 million per year. The Mekong Delta produces 20% of the world's rice. Hydropower is likely to significantly affect the entire region. A dip in production could result in soaring rice prices, meaning a staple of people's diet becomes unaffordable. Whilst the fishing industry has been equally affected, as the Mekong is the world's largest fresh fishery. In spite of these drawbacks, hydropower has played a crucial role in the advance of Southeast Asia's economy. The driving force behind the dams is to provide a constant supply of affordable power. This can boost the economies and, more importantly, the electrification ratios of the countries in the region from the current level of about 60% to a target of above 90% by 2020. This can help improving the welfare conditions and help towards eradicating poverty in the region. Hydropower doesn't just bring domestic development, but the potential to export power to neighbouring countries. Laos exemplifies this. The electricity sector is Laos' third largest export. Laos has 23,000 megawatts of potential exploitable hydropower, and the long-term management of this is critical to meeting the region's energy demands. Over to our correspondent in Vietnam.
I am Ling from the University of Birmingham, right here at one of the biggest hydropower dams in Vietnam. Now the gate is closed. You see the peaceful environment, but imagine when the gate is open, how the water flows, the power of the waters get through the river to the downstream, and how it's going to affect agriculture down there and the people who are living there.
Overall, hydropower has the potential to increase national revenues, promote agriculture and improve the quality of life in the region. However, in the short term, it will bring a huge number of adverse effects to the region as seen through agriculture in Vietnam.